Welcome to the Consumers Beverages Beer Show. I'm Kim Piazza. On today's episode, we'll take you to some great local breweries, explore some of the early history of Western New York brewing, and learn a few things you might not have known about beer. Coming up on the Consumers Beverages Beer Show. Our first stop today takes us to Lancaster, the home of Clarksburg cider, where apple orchards are in bloom and Western New York fall favorite hard cider is being taken to a new level. It's my pleasure to introduce to you the brains behind Clarksburg cider, Michael Robb. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Kim. Thank you for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having us. This is a wonderful campus that you have developed here at Clarksburg. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how this came to be.
Well, thank you very much. It is, and we have a lot of pride in our campus here at Clarksburg Cider. I have a background in business, and like a lot of Western New Yorkers, I was living elsewhere out west, out of state. And when I relocated home, my wife and I had a daughter, and it was time to come home. And I had sold my businesses in Colorado and was looking for something to do. And my father is an avid gardener and has a farm in Clarksburg, a small hamlet in Eden, New York. And he wanted to do something with that land other than hay the fields. So we decided to plant apple orchards. And we wanted to do something fun with the apples aside from selling them to a grocer. So we came up with the idea of making hard cider.
Wow, so this is like deep Western New York roots, which of course makes everything taste better, look better, sound better. It's a better place for family, which of course Michael knew because you brought your kids back here. You have developed something really special here at the tap room. Tell us a little bit about what someone can expect when they walk through those doors.
Well, we strive to provide the best guest experience possible. When we decided to do the tap room, we wanted to have a full restaurant because cider is kind of a unique category and it's not as well known as beer and wine. So we thought that the restaurant would help pull people in and educate people that hard cider is not a autumn beverage. It's a year-round craft beverage. And we have a full wine list and a full bar. We incorporate cider in our food. We incorporate cider in our cocktails. We have some fabulous cocktails. And we have a lot of varieties of cider that are seasonal and taproom exclusives, barrel-aged program. And I wanted the taproom to be a family-friendly, fun experience for people. And we're fortunate to have this piece of property out here on the eastern edge of Lancaster. It's very rural. We've planted a small orchard here, which we'll be using the apples from in the future. So I want it to be very dog-friendly, family-friendly.
And you have succeeded, Michael. You walk into the tap room, it doesn't feel like a bar. It doesn't look like a bar. Nothing about your tap room, your facility, or these grounds feels like anything but family-friendly. This is beautiful. Western New York is important to you, and Western New York is very important to what you're building here. Tell us a little how that connects.
Absolutely. We use all apples grown in New York State in our ciders. When I procured the tanks, all of our tanks are custom made by a fabricator in Geneva, New York at the Finger Lakes. Even our filter is an American-made product, so if I can't buy local, I try and buy regional and certainly American-made as opposed to getting things from overseas. It's very important to us to give back to the community. We try and do a lot of charitable events here at the tap room. So, born and raised in Buffalo, Buffalo proud. We're a part of the New York State Cider Association, and that association puts on a cider week twice a year. It's the first 2 weeks of May and the first 2 weeks of October. We host an event here each year, each season. So please look at our social and our website to see when we have Cider Fest here at the tap room. We have a petting zoo, live music. It's a ton of fun and it's family friendly.
More fun at Clarksburg. Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome.
After Prohibition ended, the development of the beer can was finally completed. The first beer in a can was Kruger's Special Beer from the Gottfried Kruger Brewing Company in Newark, New Jersey. It was given to brewery employees and friends for evaluation. In January of 1935, Kruger's Cream Ale and Finest Beer were finally available to the public.
Welcome back to the Consumers Beverages Beer Show. If you're from Western New York, odds are you've had a slice of pizza and some wings from our next local brewer. Now we'll send it over to Eric Coleman, who's enjoying a perfect sunny day over at Santora's Pizza Pub and Grill.
Alrighty, we're here at Santora's Pizza Pub and Grill on Transit Road. We're going to sit down with Paul Santora, the owner and operator, talk a little bit about the storied history, the amazing food and craft beer and beverages that they provide here. Cheers, enjoy. I am very excited to be here with somebody I consider a friend and an industry leader here at Santora's. Paul Santora.
How are you, brother? What's happening?
Not much. Thank you for
so good to see you.
Appreciate it. Thank you for taking the time to sit down with us.
Yep.
If you don't mind, as we jump into this and just start talking about all the things you do, because there's a lot, a little bit about your background and history, because I don't know if everybody knows exactly to the extent how involved you are in the hospitality community in Western New York.
I mean, you know, listen, my grandfather started it in 1927. That's the idea of the brew brand. You know, when he had a lot of kids and they were in the restaurant business for years. And I kind of came in under this kind of sports bar brand about 15, 16 years ago at Miller Sport. And we've just grown the brand to be where it is today as far as the restaurant goes.
But now you're wading into the craft beer world, which is quite awesome.
And everybody says there's too many craft breweries, there's too many of this, but we like producing the beer for our guests, and now we're able to do it in many varieties.
I love how you started the brewing endeavor, but giving homage to your date. Like, I don't know if people realize, because I've had people ask, like, why do they call it 1927?
Right.
And I'm like, well,
It represents the year my grandfather started Santora's. I mean, and that's kind of the idea, and that's that Western New York feel that we like to keep part of. We like to remind people back and forth, and actually the subcategories of the names, Main and Tupper, Seneca Street, Tropicana, they're all restaurants throughout the United States and Buffalo, Santora's locations that have had for the years. So that is our name. Like, so Main and Tupper, Seneca Street is our first beer. And then that was our actual first brick and mortar Santora's. So that my grandfather opened. Yep. And then Main and Tupper IPA became our second one. That was the second location. Main and Tupper used to be the old Trico building downtown. So we're just to your point. We're just we're owning the area in which we've been able to thrive in.
You have been a destination go-to to get really good craft beer that you might not get anywhere else. Gosh, I remember this, like you said, it's been, 15 years now?
Yeah.
Like, you could come here
Correct.
And get it when there's not many other places you can go
we
to.
opened up here in this location 9 years ago, and our goal was to be, the craft beer go-to, right? That's when multiple, 50 to 100 taps were pretty popular, and we kind of went in with that avenue, but we saw how everybody's brand grew. We assisted many breweries in the local area to grow their brand, and we make really, really good, high quality, all natural food. We have done it for years. Our recipes are the best they can be, and I just felt, if we could serve that kind of food, then I feel like we could serve that kind of beer.
This is the go-to patio.
Yeah, we've had some great opportunities as far as being able to advance and stuff like that, and some of it's luck, some of it's skill, some of it's partnerships with people. But yeah, we've had the opportunity to really grow this location to what it is today, and like you said, I feel like it's a premier location in Western New York. I mean, there's plenty of them out there, and we work together with a lot of our business partners out there, of course. But we think we hold the key.
If you have not been to the Transit location, you've got to come in. You get to see the small cooperage where you have the scientific, the Dream Lab.
That's correct.
Going on, and then the barrels. That's going to be exciting to see, and then phenomenal food and great beer.
The process of brewing beer wasn't always as streamlined or efficient as it is today. Now we'll sit down with local beer historian John Ice, who can tell us more about some of the early innovations that, for better or worse, changed the way the brewing industry operated.
The first huge innovation in brewing, of course, was refrigeration. Before refrigeration, you had to make your beer local because you couldn't ship it very well anywhere and if it couldn't kept cold. It wasn't pasteurized, so it would go bad. So you basically had to, bring it somewhere and then drink it. Maybe not that quickly, but reasonably so. So you couldn't ship it like from here to Chicago. It didn't really work well. And so refrigeration changed all that. And once that happened, some of the larger breweries like Anheuser-Busch and that sort of thing could ship beer all over the place. And once they did that, they could compete as they do today, the business do today. If I can sell a cheaper product and, I can get to your business, and that's what happened. That put many, many breweries out of business when that happened. It started around 1890. They had refrigeration before that, but it really got big by around 1890, and that kind of really changed things in the brewing industry and dropped the number of breweries way down from when they were, like on every street corner. And so what happened in Buffalo was we ended up, after Prohibition, probably in 1933, as a result of that and other consolidation measures that went on, our own breweries buying up each other, there's probably only, I think, like 8 or 9 breweries that were really operating in Buffalo. Yeah, initially here in Buffalo, which was kind of like not in the mainstream, like places like Philadelphia and New York City were and that sort of thing. The beer that was produced here was in kegs and was not bottled. It didn't really start getting bottled till after the canal was built, and we had been here for another 10 years, and the canal made a lot of people wealthy in Buffalo, as you can look at Delaware Avenue mansions and get an idea. And so they could afford to buy beer in bottles and have it bottled, and then the bottles would be returned afterward. But Buffalo's first bottler was a gentleman by the name of Sidney Burr, B-U-R-R, and he was right at Exchange Street. He was on Seneca Street and Washington, just about on the corner there. And he bottled, beer and pop and soda, that type of thing. But the earliest bottle we know of in Buffalo was a stoneware, not a stoneware bottle, but an earthenware bottle from S. Burr on there. And we think that's the first bottle that's ever been used, that was used in Buffalo for bottling beer. And then later on, of course, they got glass bottles, and then they started bottling it. The first beer was probably bottled in that earthenware bottle at 1842, 43, somewhere in there. Before that, we didn't really bottle much in Buffalo at all. The Pan American Exposition in 1901, we have all these breweries in Buffalo, and they were some pretty big, well-known breweries at the time, Lang's and Iroquois, and the interesting thing is that the official brewery of the 1901 exposition was Pabst, which is now Pabst Blue Ribbon, or was, it's out now, but I think they're making it again. But yeah, and beer was sold in different areas that wasn't Pabst, local beer, but the official brewing beer of the exposition was Pabst out of town from Milwaukee.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of the Consumers Beverages Beer Show. But first, here's another fun fact about beer you may not have heard before.
After Niels Bohr, one of the world's greatest scientists, won the Nobel Prize for Physics in 1922, the Carlsberg Brewery in Copenhagen gave him a gift, a house located right next to the brewery. And the best perk of the house? It had a direct pipeline to the brewery, so that Bohr had free beer on tap whenever he wanted.
They say that variety is the spice of life, and sometimes all you need to mix it up is a nice, smooth glass of whiskey. Let's take a look at 13 Monkeys Whiskey, whose ties to this community and its military veterans runs deep.
The reason that we started 13 Monkeys All-American Whiskey is for my best friend, Staff Sergeant Christopher Dill. Dill, last name Irish, is also a firefighter, so why not put whiskey on a fire truck? 13 Monkeys All-American Whiskey, it's a 5-year bourbon mash, veteran-owned company out of Buffalo. On April 4th, 2005, my best friend, Staff Sergeant Christopher Dill, was killed in action while we were in Iraq. The date that he died, 4/4/05, adds up to 13. He was a Buffalo firefighter, I was a police officer. Together we were in the military, which all three professions wear logos on their uniforms. He was an avid gambler, he used to bet on 13. My name's Jason, dealt with Friday the 13th my whole life. Whole side of the bottle has all the symbolism and meaning behind the logo that's on front of the bottle. We got both fire trucks that we do. We use in parades, we use all different things through the holidays, Veterans Day, Memorial Day, St. Patty's Day, Dingus Day. Bring out a bunch of people that want to support, you know, first responders, veterans, local nonprofit, our whiskey, things like that. So we take them out and have a good time with the fire trucks. So I started KIA Memorial Road March as a way to honor my best friend, Staff Sergeant Christopher Dill, that was killed in action while we were in Iraq. So I wanted to do something to help out, and over the last 11 years, we've raised 370,000 pounds of food for local veterans. And we've done a lot of things for military units and things like that. So, and as it came out, I ended up meeting somebody that actually helped out with the mission for KIA and 13 Monkeys, and everything kind of intertwined from that.
In the military, we did a lot of fun logistic things and acquired large military items. Well, I did that overseas for my job. Now I got a chance to do it with KIA. I ended up buying a fire truck at a Girl Scout meeting while talking to the fire chief. But with KIA, which is on my shirt here, Jay started a liquor company, a whiskey company, 13 Monkeys. And now being a part of that, that helps fund KIA. It also helps boost morale when we're doing events.
What ended up happening was during the shutdown, we actually had a unit that needed some particular help. And Joe Maluski came to me and asked if it was possible if I can help out with their unit's Christmas party. Government didn't have any money for the soldiers and their families to have their annual Christmas party, and that's when KIA actually stepped in and said, yeah, we'll take care of them. We got ham dinners, we got Christmas presents for the kids, we brought Santa Claus, and we bought toys for the kids, and they got to have a picture taken. So it was kind of seamless for the children. You know, the adults understood what we were and what our mission was. And, you know, lo and behold, Joe also had a fire truck outside that was taking kids around with Santa Claus on a little roundabout there. So, meeting of the minds kind of got together and started using the truck for KIA, which the truck was named the Morale Response Vehicle, which was appropriate, you know, let's boost morale in the neighborhoods and everything like that. Then, you know, coupled with a whiskey company that was on the back burner, it came to fruition, and lo and behold, we got a fire truck, and now we have 2 fire trucks that boost morale with some alcohol on them, and we go to local bars, restaurants, and help out at the Road March and a couple other events that KIA does throughout the year. So we're in about 40 different liquor stores, 40 different bars and restaurants, Buffalo Chop House. They make their Manhattans out of it. We're in Vice, we're in Neat, we're in a bunch of local bars, Ebenezer, Ale House. You can go on our website and look at all the different restaurants and liquor stores that we're in.
Buffalo and Western New York has long been at the forefront of the brewing industry. Let's check in again with local beer historian John Ice, who can tell us more about how Buffalo became one of the biggest commercial brewing cities in the 1800s.
I have always been interested in Buffalo's brewing history, which is a slice of Buffalo's history. So you can learn a lot about the Niagara Frontier in Buffalo just by going through that slice of history that involves brewing, because it was such a large part of our history. I think there were 2 main causes of this, and one was having the canal and the Great Lakes here. All the grain that was coming from out west came to Buffalo, and as you see from the terminals and the storing facilities in Buffalo that still exist today, that a large portion of that grain was used for brewing here. And the second reason was, why would you sell it? Well, there must have been people here that liked to drink beer, and so many Alsatian and Germanic people settled in this area, and they were brought up on drinking beer. Brewing on the Niagara frontier basically started in Batavia, and when I talk about brewing, I'm talking about commercial brewing. And there was a brewery in Batavia starting in 1810. And then followed was another brewery that started in Black Rock in 1811, and that was Joseph Webb's brewery. And the unfortunate part for Joseph Webb was he started his brewery a year before the British came and burnt Black Rock down and Buffalo down, so obviously his brewery was destroyed then. And he actually petitioned the government, his family petitioned the government of the United States for reimbursement, and it never came through, but he gave it a shot. First brewery in Buffalo was by a gentleman by the name of Thomas Tunnicliffe, who started sometime prior, maybe right around 1816. And it was right on Washington Street, just a couple of doors down from Exchange in Washington, kind of north of there. And he was first, and then it continued along with more and more breweries picking up as the demand for beer kept picking up in Buffalo. And we ended up with about 270 different commercial brewing operations in Buffalo through its history. And it actually was only at 90 different locations, but there were that many different brewing operations, companies that ran breweries. The largest year I could find was Erie County in 1867, had 58 breweries in operation at that time. That's a pretty good number. Now some of those were small, parts of taverns, kind of brew pub idea back then. Some of them were quite large, like Mangus Beck's brewery. And he produced the most beer in Buffalo back in 1867. This continued through, and we kept consolidating breweries in the 1880s, and they went to selling stock in the breweries, that sort of thing, and the number of breweries decreased greatly because of the same thing, a consolidation. The last breweries to close in Buffalo was Iroquois Brewery, which I'm sure everybody remembers, from 1971, and then the last brewery to close in Buffalo was a Simon Pure Brewery, which closed in 72. And then we had nothing for a very long period of time. And then in 1989, a gentleman decided he was going to try something new, and he actually built and opened and operated the first brew pub in New York State, and that was in 89. And that's the brew pub that's still in operation today on Transit and Broadway, the Buffalo Brew Pub.
Which country is the biggest consumer of beer? Is it A, Australia, B, China, C, the United States of America, D, the Czech Republic? The answer is D, the Czech Republic, whose population consumes over 37 gallons of beer per person per year.
Thanks for watching the Consumers Beverages Beer Show. We'll see you next time.